Okay, so you want to own a laundromat. You picture a clean room full of machines, customers doing their own work, and money dropping into the business all day with barely any staff. It looks like the perfect passive income setup. No kitchen, no huge inventory, no sales team, just washers, dryers, soap, and steady demand. And to be fair, there is a reason laundromats keep showing up in every conversation about reliable small business cash flow. People always need clean clothes, demand does not disappear in a recession, customers usually pay up front, and in the right neighborhood, the same machines can serve hundreds of people every week. So here is the question that matters before you buy your first washer. If the demand is so steady and the model looks so simple, why do some laundromat owners build dependable cash flow machines while others end up trapped in expensive, exhausting businesses that barely pay for themselves? The answer is that a laundromat is not really a machine business. It is a utility business hiding inside a retail lease, and once you understand that, the entire economics of the industry starts to make sense. Let's start with the part people get most wrong. Most first-time buyers think they are purchasing a room full of equipment. In reality, they are buying a location, a customer habit, and a utility bill they do not fully control. A good laundromat is valuable because hundreds of nearby people either do not have their own machines, do not want to use them, or need commercial-size capacity they cannot get at home. That means the business rises or falls on one thing before anything else: the neighborhood. A laundromat near apartment buildings with shared or missing laundry facilities can stay busy all week, while a laundromat in the wrong area can sit half empty no matter how nice the machines look. This is why location drives almost everything about the business, from customer volume to pricing power to security risk. Once you have the right location, the next shock is startup cost. A laundromat may look simple, but it is one of the more infrastructure-heavy small businesses you can buy. You need commercial washers, commercial dryers, water heaters, drainage lines, gas connections, upgraded electrical service, folding tables, carts, seating, cameras, payment systems, and often major plumbing work. Buying an existing laundromat is usually cheaper than building one from scratch, but even then, you are often stepping into a business that needs machine replacements, cosmetic updates, or deferred maintenance. A modest neighborhood store might trade for a few $100,000, while a larger modern store with strong volume can cost much more. And if you build from the ground up, the number rises fast because the machines are only part of the bill. The hidden expense is what it takes to make the building capable of handling all that water, heat, and power every single day. Then there is the lease, which is where the business can quietly win or lose before the first customer arrives. A laundromat needs the kind of lease most small business owners dream about and very few actually get. Long-term, predictable increases, renewal options, and ideally some protection from direct competition nearby. Why? Because your machines are heavy, expensive, and extremely location-dependent, and you cannot casually move a laundromat across town the way you might move a small office. If rent spikes hard after you have already invested in the build-out, the landlord can end up owning the economics of your business without ever touching a washing machine. Now let's talk about how the money actually comes in. At the most basic level, revenue comes from self-service washing and drying. Customers pay per cycle, and your income depends on three things: vend price, number of machines, and how many times each machine turns over each day. That last number, turns per day, is one of the most important metrics in the entire business, because a washer that runs 6 times a day is a very different asset from a washer that runs twice. The machine itself does not create that difference. The neighborhood, the hours, the cleanliness of the store, and the quality of your machine mix do. If your store has the wrong balance of small machines and large capacity machines, you can still be busy and yet leave money on the table every day. This is why experienced owners obsess over machine mix. A small washer serves one kind of customer, while larger capacity washers serve families, comforters, rugs, and oversized loads that usually carry much better revenue per cycle. The same logic applies to dryers, because customers remember whether their clothes dried quickly or whether they had to keep feeding money into a weak machine that could not finish the job. A badly maintained dryer does more than annoy people. It quietly pushes them to a competitor. Here is the part that makes a laundromat look passive from the outside and fragile from the inside. Revenue arrives one load at a time, but expenses show up like a flood. Water, sewer, gas, and electricity are the real monster costs in this business, and unlike labor, you cannot simply schedule fewer utilities on a slow Tuesday. If local utility rates jump, your margins compress immediately. If your dryers run on natural gas and prices rise, you feel it right away. And if your water rates increase, every cycle gets more expensive whether you raise customer prices or not. So yes, laundromats collect money in small steady increments, but they burn money through utilities with the same consistency. That is why owners who ignore efficiency usually end up confused by how busy their store feels compared with how little cash it produces. The best operators fight this with newer, more efficient equipment, careful vend pricing, leak prevention, and constant maintenance, because a small water leak may not look dramatic, but on a monthly utility bill it absolutely is. The next big mistake people make is assuming the business has no labor. Compared with a restaurant, labor is light. Compared with true passive income, labor is very real. Someone has to open and close the store if it is attended. Clean lint, wipe machines, mop floors, empty trash. Refill soap vending, help customers. Collect cash if the store still uses coins. And deal with the endless stream of minor issues that happen in any public business. In tougher neighborhoods, you may also need an attendant for security and customer control, even if the machines themselves are technically self-service. And if you want the more profitable version of this business, labor goes up again because now you are talking about wash, dry, fold service. This is where many laundromat owners stop being utility sellers and start becoming service businesses. Wash, dry, fold changes the economics completely because instead of earning a few dollars from one customer using one machine, you charge by the pound for convenience. The gross revenue per customer can jump dramatically. But so can the labor requirement, because now you need trained attendants. Process flow, lost item controls, packaging, and reliable turnaround times. Even so, this is where some of the best margin expansion happens, especially in dense urban areas where customers value time more than price. Add pickup and delivery, and the business can grow again. At that point, you are no longer just operating a laundromat. You are building a local laundry logistics company. The upside is bigger baskets, recurring customers, and business accounts like spas, salons, gyms, short-term rentals, and small hospitality operators. The downside is that mistakes get more expensive because now you can shrink a sweater, lose an order, or show up late to a recurring client. That brings us to competition. On paper, laundromats look simple enough that anyone should be able to open one nearby. In practice, competition is uneven, and a clean, bright, safe store with modern machines can take customers from an older store surprisingly fast. Laundry is not a glamorous purchase, but customers still notice lighting, parking, cleanliness, machine reliability, and whether they feel comfortable being there for an hour. The lazy assumption is that people will always choose the closest laundromat. Many do, but plenty of customers will drive farther for a better experience, bigger machines, easier parking, or faster wash times. That means reinvestment matters, and the owner who stops updating the store is often slowly handing their customer base to the person willing to replace worn machines and repaint the walls. And when machines break, the business gets hit twice. First, you lose the revenue from that machine, and second, you risk losing the customer who needed it right then. This is especially painful with large capacity washers because those are often some of the highest earning assets in the store. Repairs also tend to arrive in clusters, which means a store full of aging machines may operate fine for months, and then suddenly demand a string of expensive service calls. That is why a laundromat without a repair reserve is not stable. It is simply waiting for the wrong month. Payment systems add another layer to the economics. The old coin model has one huge advantage, which is no processing fees, but it also has big disadvantages: jammed coin slides, theft risk, time spent collecting quarters, and customer frustration. Card and app systems make pricing more flexible and the customer experience smoother, while also creating cleaner reporting and removing a lot of cash handling. But they take a cut, and those small percentage fees matter in a business built on thousands of low-ticket transactions. Some of the smartest operators use modern payment systems not just for convenience, but as pricing tools that let them offer loyalty rewards, bonus credit, or variable pricing at slower hours. That kind of control can lift machine usage without adding a single new washer. Let's put some real numbers around a typical mid-sized laundromat. Imagine a store with about 30 washers and 30 dryers in a working-class urban neighborhood, open long hours with decent parking and stronger weekends than weekdays. In a solid month, the store might generate revenue from self-service laundry, soap and vending sales, and a modest amount of wash-dry fold. From the outside, the gross sales can look impressive. But by the time you pay rent, utilities, repairs, supplies, cleaning, insurance, labor, card processing, and equipment financing or debt service, the owner's take-home number can look a lot smaller than outsiders expect. A well-run store can still produce strong cash flow, while a poorly run store can stay busy and somehow feel broke. That difference is the entire business. The owners who do well in laundromats understand that they are not just renting machine time. They are selling reliability, convenience and speed, and they treat every expense line as a system to optimize, not just a bill to complain about. They track turns per day, know which machines earn the most, monitor water usage, price intelligently, inspect the store constantly, and keep enough reserve cash to survive ugly repair months. The owners who struggle usually make the opposite set of mistakes. They overpay for a weak location, underestimate utilities, assume the business will run itself, delay maintenance, ignore the store's appearance, let machines sit out of order, and confuse gross revenue with true owner earnings. There is one more reason laundromats remain attractive even after everything we have covered. Once stabilized, they can be durable because the customer base can become habitual, the demand is recurring, and one good store can become a platform for more. This is where real wealth starts to enter the picture. A single laundromat can produce a living, but multiple laundromats, bought carefully and operated with discipline, can create a real local empire. Shared repair relationships, centralized management, pickup and delivery routes, and purchasing scale can make the second and third locations more profitable than the first. But scale only helps if the underlying stores are good. Expanding a weak model usually just multiplies weak economics. So, is owning a laundromat passive income? Not really. It is simpler than many small businesses, and it can be wonderfully consistent when run well. But the real business is not sitting in a chair while quarters pile up. The real business is controlling rent, utilities, maintenance, customer experience, and capital spending better than the next owner does. In other words, a laundromat is not a money box with washing machines attached. It is a neighborhood infrastructure business, and the owners who make the most money are not the ones who love laundry, but the ones who know how to turn a room full of water, heat, steel, and routine human behavior into predictable cash flow.